Ashamed to ask, ashamed to admit, got Jewy questions. This is it, wise, wicked, simple, or unsure how to ask. We'll open up the books, the ark, will open up your cynical heart. No such a thing as a dumb question, okay, that's mostly true. Tammy and Shoshana are here for you. Ashamed to admit, ashamed to ask.
It's everything you didn't get in Jewish studies class.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another very special episode of Ashamed to Admit. I'm Tammy Sussman.
And I'm Shoshana Gottlieb-Becker. I don't know why I said that as a question, but I'm Shoshana.
Gottlieb-Becker. Shoshana?
Yes.
Shoshana?
Yes.
Why is this a very special episode?
We have a third. Oh! We invited a friend. We made friends. I mean, AJ's our friend, but...
AJ, our producer, is our friend. And today there are equal numbers of Jew and non-Jew. I don't know why I made it like some kind of weird competition or I don't know. AJ's not outnumbered.
I just see people. I don't
today.
know.
So a few seasons ago, myself and my ex-co-host had a little special called Ashamed to Ask. In fact, that's, Shoshana, where the idea of this podcast, of you and I co-hosting, it came about then because you and I had such good banter. We were like, we should do a podcast together. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay.
You said that I made you believe in God.
She likes to remind me of that.
I do like it.
So a few seasons ago, we, myself and my ex-co-host, invited people who weren't Jewish to ask us questions. I think I should have said we asked non-Jewish allies. I like that. I like that better. We asked them to ask us all the questions they might be too ashamed to ask. So today, our very special guest is the author of the books 50 Risks to Take with Your Kids and 50 Questions to Ask Your Teens. She's also an educator, mental health advocate, and crochet enthusiast. It's Daisy Turnbull. Yay!
Thank you so much for having me. I did have like my imposter syndrome, why are they asking me moment this week.
Okay.
And Tammy and I had a great chat. She's like, no, it's going to be great. So thank you. I'm excited.
And now you're here and you're realising there was nothing to worry about with these divas. Did you, for those of us watching, did you crochet your cardigan?
I had to wear it.
Oh
yeah.
God.
It's fun. It's fun. Keeps me calm, you know.
I like Sky knits.
Yeah.
I don't do anything
I do
like that.
both, but I prefer crochet.
But then at one time I was like, what'd be so fun if I learn how to crochet and then because she can kind of do it and then we can like make a blanket or something. And so Sky's like, let's do it. We buy all of this stuff. I tried it one time and I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm like, I tried it for 45 seconds. I'm like, I'm never looking at this again.
Not for you.
I can't conceptualize how like when you do the things, it turns into things. Like I know that sounds so stupid, but like I can't conceptualize how the actions I'm doing turn into something bigger.
Happy to teach you one day. I really love it. It's very calming. And I think when my kids were little and they were at playgrounds and, you know, doing things that I wanted to keep an eye on, but I didn't want to be, you know,
helicoptering.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do to kind of, while you watch TV, while you know, kids are in the playground or watching, you know, AFL or something like that. So I really love it.
Good
and I love making things for people.
It's also a good barrier to not have to engage with other parents at the playground. So, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, I think we should get straight into it because we don't want to run over time. And Daisy pre-sent me some of these questions and she had so many great questions. So I reckon we should just get straight into it.
Happy to.
So my partner and I were listening to your episode on kosher last week, and it made me wonder the thing about fish with fins and scales. And someone was saying to me that even in like the deepest seas, you know, North Sea, you won't find fish that have, is it fins and no scales or scales and no fins, and how, I guess, awesome in its true sense of the word that is. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, I had to Google this when I saw the question.
Love it.
I want to preface by saying that like the rabbis get a lot wrong about the natural world and the medical world, like Talmudically, because they're working within their sort of frame of reference. So I don't think that like all religious text is like, you know, amazing, getting everything right. Like I must say they do get a lot wrong.
Yeah.
I wonder because there's not really much on it. I think maybe the thing is that they're not like deep sea diving.
No.
In the, you know, in like wherever in Norway where there's like freaky fish that like there are those things. They're sort of
with the lamp on it. And that
exactly,
kind of,
right? So I think that has fins but no scales, but all scaled fish have fins.
Yeah.
And so I reckon that they're sort of where they're doing their fishing in the Mediterranean around there. They're just like kind of like that's the fish they're finding. You know what I mean? Like it's such a boring answer. Like I think like they're being informed by, the writers of the book are being informed by their exact surroundings.
Yeah, okay. Because I had heard that if there are scales, there are going to be fins.
Yeah, but I think all fish have. I could be wrong.
But there are obviously fins with no, or like
I think there's fins without scales, but I think all fish,
with
except for
scales.
eels, have fins.
Yeah.
Like
I thought it was
the
really
more
cool.
wormy ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoshan, I'm so glad Daisy turned to you for that answer because
Fish, 'cause you're like, I don't know.
I don't know. I actually tuned out throughout that whole answer.
I think so. Okay, so maybe this is a better answer. I don't know. A lot of what happens in Judaism is that things happen historically.
Yeah.
For historical reason, and then the rabbis retroactively fit in meaning to that thing. And so specifically with something like kashrut, it's not so again, let me take another step back. There's 3 different kinds of laws in the Torah, or there's one of the ways to categorize the laws. Civil law, which is, you know, don't murder, etc. There's testimonial law, so that's things like we keep Passover because it is reminding us of a time. We keep Shabbat because it's reminding us of the 7th day of creation, all of that stuff. And then there's also one that's just called chukim, which is we don't know why we do them.
Yeah.
And kashrut is one of those things. And so I think because there's a lot of mystery around, there's really specific like what we can and can't do, but there's not a lot of why to those actions. And so I think people come up with these things of like, how amazing is it that these kashrut laws, they knew all of the kinds of fish that were alive, right? They named the birds by, like there's a category for how we define fish, right? It's got these physical characteristics, the same with mammals, but birds, there's just a list of birds, right? And how amazing is it that this list of birds is still kind of definitional in today's world? But I think it's just people trying to ascribe extra meaning to these things. Okay. At least that's my historical cultural understanding because you can also read in that religious wow, which a lot of people do. But, yeah.
All right, cool. So speaking of historical record, Daisy.
So my question was, so we're in the year 5,786 now, correct? I think of so much of ancient history as I could have been anywhere in the space of 50 years. It's around this time. But Judaism has kept track of its years so well. How?
It's a great question. So again, historically, we kind of only have archaeological record from, if we're talking in sort of Tanakh books, right, like Old Testament books, from the later kings of sort of the Davidic line. Anything before that is story and oral history, but we don't have physical proof of that. So a lot of our dating currently comes from the archaeological stuff, but also timekeeping in Jewish law is really, really important. So when it hits about, I don't know, Josephus era, kind of that Roman era, we have secular texts that can corroborate those dates, and then we can sort of backdate from those religiously, and everything kind of fits in as we've thought. And because timekeeping is so important in terms of both the calendar year, but also on a daily basis, we kind of just trust that they're doing it well, right? I feel like there's a lot of mistrust of calendar systems, and there's this like the theory, you know, that we're missing 400 years in the medieval period, these dark periods. We just kind of trust that again, it's kind of a boring answer, but because there's so much emphasis on the importance of time and knowing when the new moon is, and we trust that the rabbis in charge of that were meticulous in what they were doing. And then we have the secular record coming, like sort of kicking in around the Roman conquest of the land, so that we can sort of start corroborating those dates and then from there date backwards.
Yeah. And at that point it becomes easy. Everyone's pretty much on the same timing.
From like Roman to current day, everyone's on the same page. Roman back, who's to say? No one thinks the same, you know? What is it?
Is machmir, you've written in your notes that we also just trust that the rabbis were machmir enough. Does that just mean meticulous?
Machmir is like when you're super careful about your practice.
Okay.
So if I'm machmir about keeping Shabbat, I'm careful in how I keep Shabbat.
Okay. And Jews are historically known to be religious Jews.
A careful people.
A careful people.
Yeah.
Machmir.
No, I think it's also like it's our entire world, like the religious world. And again, if we're talking back in the day, it's everyone's world.
Yeah.
Right? There is no distinction between a religious world and a secular world. Your entire world is dictated by time, right? The reason that women don't do a lot of the commandments is because the rabbis say women don't have to do positive time-bound commandments, right? So things like I have to do things at a certain time of the day. I have to go to synagogue. I have to pray. Women don't have to do that because they're in the home and they have different things to be doing, right? They're too busy to keep up with these kind of commandments. Like our everyday is, the rabbis spend a lot of time figuring out exactly when the sun comes up so that you can say the prayers at the right time. And they spend a lot of time talking about, well, what does it mean when the new month starts? Because if the month starts tomorrow, that means Rosh Hashanah is going to be pushed off, you know, an extra. So they spend a lot of time concerned with time as a concept and the process of time and the passing of time. And so again, we trust that their meticulous dating is connected to that.
So you're saying religious Jews are sluts for timekeeping?
Yeah.
Okay.
I also, like, my fun thing that
Your words, not mine.
Yeah. Always Tammy's words, not ours. I recommend sometimes going onto like the Jewish calendar Wikipedia page. And then if you scroll down far enough, they come up with like these hectic like mathematical equations on how they figure out certain different things, because there's always like well, if this happens, then that, if that happens, then this. Like it's really, it's too much for me.
I will absolutely not be going on that Wikipedia page. Daisy?
Yeah, no,
We're just a bunch of English gals.
I don't go onto that Wikipedia page because I get to come onto a podcast and ask you questions.
Fair.
Okay, so obviously as a crocheter, I love calming activities. And I saw something on Instagram that was saying that I'm going to say it wrong, but the sit is like the original fidget toy for prayer and calming. And I just wonder how does ritual and faith calm you both?
You can take this one.
Please, if you're only listening to this, please watch this just for Shoshan, the look she's giving me now. How does ritual and faith calm me?
Yeah.
I think the main way that I practice now is every second week I will go to an egalitarian service where it's very music-based. We sit in circles and concentric circles, and that is my time where I am disconnected from my phone for 1 hour, which is huge these days. Disconnected from my phone, disconnected. My kids aren't there, and it is just me connecting to something. At some point I thought, yeah, that could be God. It could be some version of God. It's just nothing else except for me and something, I don't know if we can define it as spiritual, but it's just a moment to connect to ancient language and community, and I find that very calming. But that's pretty much all I can think of right now. Maybe I'll think of something else.
Your Friday night dinners at family aren't calming to you?
They are far from calming. Yeah. Shoshana's probably got more to say about this.
I don't know. I think I take comfort in structures, right? And I think a lot of people thrive under structure, and I do think that's part of why Judaism has survived for as long as it has, because it gives you, I don't know, like it gives you a way by which to live. And I take great comfort in that, of like the intentionality behind action in my day-to-day life and the way I think and things like that. I think what's really interesting, so firstly with tzitzit, fidgety, but also like the ultimate sort of like ADHD reminder.
Yeah.
So the whole point of wearing tzitzit is
Can you
supposed
explain what that is?
So tzitzit is a commandment that if you wear a four-cornered garment, you're supposed to put these tzitzit, which are like strings and knots, at the corner of each garment.
Tassels.
The tassels, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, again, back in the day, ponchos or these four-cornered garments would have been, just like I'm wearing a cloak because it's a bit cold out, but I'm going to make sure that if I'm wearing this, it's distinctly Jewish with these tassels on the corners. As fashion has evolved, thank God, away from
thankfully.
the poncho and the four-corneredness, in order to be able to keep that mitzvah, we've created a garment called tzitzit that we always have on that has those things. So instead of if I'm wearing something that looks like this, I have to add the strings to, I'm going to wear this garment all the time to signify my religiosity. But the whole point of it is that you're wearing clothes and you're supposed to look down and have a reminder of God. So like if you're about to do something naughty, you'll always have these reminders at the sides of you. Which, I think is cool. And then and now it's like sort of evolved and like people sort of are holding it in this,
Because there was this Instagram video that I saw from crochet, which this woman had like crocheted this top that
The purple one?
The purple one. And
I've seen the purple top.
It's this square that you put in, it's got the hole for your head, and then it's got these things wrapped around. And then you shared it on your Instagram being like, oh, I love that, tzitzits have become the inspiration for crochet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's exactly what it looks like. I hadn't thought of that.
like
So that's what made
literally.
me think of it.
But I've seen like young men use their tefillin as fidgets. And by fidgets, I mean like they take the end of it and like whip each other in shul and like sort of just like are always playing with it. And the ultimate sort of, I think, fidget, not really fidget, but like sort of calming thing that Jews do is shockling, which is when they pray, they'll like bow and move their body, or like when they're learning, and the repetitive action of just like moving your body becomes like meditative, but it's also like, it's like a calming thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, sorry, Daisy, where I learnt the word shuchling from?
I would love to hear.
I didn't know, even though I'm Jewish and went to Jewish school. It's a Yiddish word, I think. Shuchling.
Yeah, I would assume.
I learnt it when I had a baby and someone on the pram. Someone was like, "Oh, you just need to shuchel the pram while the baby's sleeping." I'm like, "What does that mean?" And they said, like, vibrate it.
Yeah, you just
rock
like,
it.
Because I remember when my kids were little, I was once at the shop without my kids and I was getting like, I think maybe like a bag of oranges, and I was swaying the bag of oranges, and someone was like, how old are your kids? And I was like, yep, this age, exactly this age.
Amazing.
But I've had like students, like because we have a rabbi who runs prayers every morning, and one of the students being like, why are you guys always rowing? And they're like, because it looks like they're like kind of like where are you guys racing to?
That's amazing.
But yeah, shockling.
Okay, I'm hoping this is one that you guys might disagree on a bit, but what are your favourite and least favourite depictions of Jewish people and Judaism in TV and movies?
Thank you. Finally, someone has
question.
asked this question and we will disagree. Because there's a generational gap and also...
And a taste gap.
Yeah, there definitely is a taste gap.
Okay, best and worst.
You want me to go first? Yeah. Okay. Best, transparent, the nanny, but I want to talk about the importance of the nanny. I know it's problematic in other ways, a lot of fat phobia and whatever, but I want to get into the importance of that in my generation. And I've also written A Real Pain for Film.
Oh, love
Good.
that.
Top notch. But I want to explain my answers after you give yours.
Okay.
Oh, no, I didn't say worst, but I'll go.
So I have only given my worst,
Okay.
which I think Glee, because I'm rewatching Glee right now, and Glee is one of my
I've just watched it with my daughter.
one of my favorite shows of all time, and like when it's genuinely like a mood improver for me. When I'm feeling down, I'll just watch like my favorite performances. I love it to death. This watch back, I'm like, the Jewish stuff does feel problematic.
Yeah. Okay.
Why?
In terms of just like Rachel Berry as the most visibly and
Overtly.
but like vocally Jewish character who is always talking about how she's this annoying little Jewish girl. And so they're just trying to tie her Jewishness into the package that is an overbearing, hyper talented, too big for this town kind of person. I don't like that this time around. And then there's lots of these like little jokes that get made at her expense that, again, it's in the spirit of Glee. Everyone gets made fun of, but maybe it's the time, the space of life I'm in, the time, sort of the season I'm in. I'm not such a fan of those jokes this time around. I'm a bit more sensitive to them.
What else don't you like?
We'll take a deep breath.
Oh, so you're doing only your negatives.
Only my negatives.
And you're doing
the
only your
worst ones.
positives.
No, I want to do my negatives too.
Okay.
There is a movie called The Unborn. It is a 2008 schlocky horror movie. The premise of the movie is about dibbuks, so like Jewish demons who take over bodies and things like that. But the two things you need to know about this story is, number one, it has a Holocaust themed like backstory to it. So like the grandmother of the protagonist was in the Holocaust and survived, but her twin sister who was tested on, her body was taken over by a dibbuk in a concentration camp. Too much for a D-list, like F-list kind of movie. We're doing too much. Second thing, Gary Oldman plays a rabbi, which is my least favorite sentence to say out loud. It is one of the most shockingly horror. It was the single worst Jewish themed movie I had ever seen until I had seen the movie called Shalom Tango, which was so incredibly bad, about a rabbi who needs to save in New York, he needs to save his yeshiva from closing. He's a teacher. And so he enters a tango competition for like the exact amount of money needed to save. And it's about like him and this woman, and he finds this like sexy, sultry Latin dance teacher. And because he's frum and he can't touch her, they figure out an entire dance routine without touching.
Oh my God.
And it is the single worst movie you've ever seen in your entire life. And he goes to like his rabbi to get permission to dance. And the rabbi's like, no, you're religious. So then he's like, okay, I'll go get permission from a priest. And then he like goes to all these different religions to try and find religious justification. And I'm like, this is like the worst movie I've ever seen. Anyway, Renee Taylor from The Nanny is in it.
Oh no.
Single worst piece of media I've ever had to like
Consume
in my entire life. Horrible. Set us back decades.
How did it get
On the
remade?
assumption that anyone watched it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fair. You know what? A saving grace.
Can I do my worst?
Yeah.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
So what was your best?
Okay, my best is the Coen Brothers one. Is it A Simple Man?
Coen Brothers.
Oh, that got a mention. Yeah.
Yes.
I've asked this at a few Shabbat dinners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it called A Simple?
I don't think it's A Simple Man. Wait,
Look it up. Look it up while I talk about my worst.
I know it well enough that I don't know the name.
Okay, I think, speaking of, maybe this is why I will not watch Nobody Wants This.
Yeah, I was going to ask if anyone.
So I kind of dipped in and out of the OC because I wasn't, it was around when it was like coming of age at the time.
A Serious Man, sorry.
A Serious Man, yeah.
That has to be the best.
Yes, very good.
Yep.
So I watched the OC and it was all very ha-ha, it's great. There's, Seth.
Chris
McCarr. And I was like, that's great. But now looking back, and especially after I saw the film come to You Are So Not Invited to my bat mitzvah, what shits me to no end is the representation of Jews coming from extreme wealth, being flippant with that, kind of being, the Jewish American or Jewish Australian princess. Hate that. I hate that are you disagreeing with me?
I'm working through my thoughts as
like
you're
they exist, but I hate that has become the norm, or like that's the main.
You don't want that to be people's entry point into Judaism.
Yes, 100%. And so when Nobody Wants This came into the zeitgeist, shall we say, I was hearing that similarly to Rachel Berry, I didn't watch Glee, that the women, I'm older
So
than
it's really,
you.
the women is really interesting in that
The women,
show.
what did you notice, Daisy?
So I loved that show. I teach studies of religion. I think, do you teach that as well? No, you teach religious studies.
Yeah.
And so we do Holocaust theology as one of our depth studies. And in the first episode, he talks about the 614th mitzvah. I was like, oh, that's great. I showed it to my students. And I thought it was really funny. I thought actually that, yes, there were probably obviously some stereotypes thrown in, especially about the women in the family. But I thought what I loved about it is it showed the difference between, regardless of what religion it is, a secular life and a faith and community-based life. And that's what I liked about it. And that if you are someone who is super secular, like Joanne is in the show, I think her name's Joanne, yeah, you might find it overwhelming. You might find it overbearing, but actually there's a lot of warmth to it, which is what I liked about it. I have some Jewish friends who love it, think it's hilarious, don't take it too seriously. There's some Jewish friends who hate it. And I have now 2 Jewish friends who are like, I will not watch it. There's no good will come from me watching it.
Yes.
I watched a single episode of it and I was immediately like, I don't like how Jewish women specifically are portrayed in this show. And I don't like that it's set up a very specific, very old kind of, duality between the waspy blonde lady and then the sharp, like shrewish Jewish loud lady. And so that's why I was like, I'm tapping out because like I just don't need this in my life.
Apparently that evolves, and I think possibly the writers got that feedback and so they're making an effort in the second season. Good on them. I think it's important for people to know that in Australia there's less representation of, maybe not less representation, but we are less reform than the Americans, right?
100%.
Yeah. So it's very, to us, maybe there's something like jarring about seeing.
For a lot of my friends, it feels foreign to them in terms of the Americanness and the reformness. I was going to say specifically part of the thing, and again, I haven't seen it, so like I'm making these judgment calls based on like just gut feelings. There's this sort of thing that happens where Jewish culture or religiosity specifically can only be viewed on screen either reform or ultra-Orthodox.
Yeah.
And I think that both of those entry points feel voyeuristic for different reasons. And no one, like I've never seen myself as, someone who grew up in the modern Orthodox world, who was just like a regular person with this other flavor thrown in.
Yeah.
Like they don't exist on screen. You have to either go like reform, where it's like, it looks exactly like what I imagine sometimes a church would look like, like American reform, or you have to go to the complete opposite where again it's this voyeuristic sort of zoo animal kind of approach to seeing the ultra orthodox.
Yes. And then throw on top of that queer representation.
Yeah.
Not high socioeconomic. Like there's so many other things. There's just
I will say I disagree with the OC about like the blatant wealth thing, because I think it's set in a wealthy, like everyone in that show is a wealthy prick.
Okay, yes.
You know what I mean? And so
Seth wasn't the standout.
If anything, Seth is the one who's like the most down to earth and I think like maybe that's a commentary of like his Jewishness is something that grounds him, that it doesn't the other really rich teenagers.
I don't think anyone really
I'm not going to lie to you
that way.
Yeah, that's more analysis than I put into it.
I don't know, but like as in I was a bit too young for the OC.
You were.
I watched like a first season, but when I was a bit older. It was like my cousins watched it who were a bit older than me.
Yes.
Like, it was my cousin's show to me. It wasn't like a me show.
Yeah, no, you would have been like 3 years old when it came out.
I also kind of disagree with Transparent.
Okay.
But maybe that's an episode on its own.
Yeah.
We can do another time.
Yeah. And I mean, I just thought it was finally some kind of queer representation within that. Yeah. And I don't know. I liked it. But I want to put more of my energy into the nanny.
Sure.
Because even though she is presented as loud and over the top and annoying, at the time when it first came out, there was no Jewish representation in the mainstream for my age group. There was Seinfeld, but I was too young for that. So for my friends and I, seeing that was like an age appropriate. And Seinfeld, I think, is like Jewish in flavor, but she was talking about Hanukkah and she was talking about like.
I think that there's an authenticity, like even though she can be considered a stereotype, there's an authenticity to her character.
Yes.
That grounds it in a way that you don't care about stereotypes.
Yes, but I also like that she was kind of like, coming into this posh home and she was, rustling feathers.
And I also think, and this is like super rare, like she was annoying and loud. All that. She was also like a sex symbol, right? She was like in
Yes.
beautiful clothing. She was the romantic interest the whole way through.
Yes.
And it is so rare to have a woman who looks stereotypically Jewish played by a Jewish woman in that kind of role. And I think that for me is the groundbreaking piece.
And it has aged beautifully. It was also very queer friendly, which we now know. We know the reason behind that. Do you know the reason behind that?
No, what was that?
Her husband, who's the man she was married to at the time, was and is gay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And now they're besties. And I love that. And then Fran went on to be freedom fighter for
a trade union.
Yeah.
leader. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually went to New York last year with two of my best mates, and it was really sweet because I was into the nanny, but they were really into the nanny. And one of them was like, I want to stand outside the house and knew where the address was.
That's
It was
cute.
so cute. I was like, this show was great. I remember it. It was not as definitive for me growing up. But
Yeah.
Fair.
What was definitive for you?
I don't know. I liked Buffy.
Okay.
I loved Buffy. I met Sarah Michelle Gellar once. She's my height. That was a huge moment for me.
How did you meet her?
Short. She was in Sydney for making the Scooby-Doo movies, and I saw her at a New Year's party. Shut the fuck. Like at the Opera House. It was
Why
like
do
a lot
you
of
love
people
The
that-
Scooby-Doo movies, my entire childhood. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that
she
like
was here-
because
she made
here's the
them.
thing, I had a premonition that you were going to say she was here for the Scooby-Doo movies like a second before you said it.
Yeah,
I
it
love
was-
those movies.
They actually, they are movies I should watch with my kids. Sometimes you go, there are movies I watched as a kid I should rewatch. And a lot of them are so problematic. I love 10 Things I Hate About You. Still
Best.
totally fine.
Love it. Yeah, that first Scooby-Doo movie.
Any Jew coding in the Scooby-Doo movies?
Well, I mean, Sarah Michelle Gellar is Jewish.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Scooby-Doo is Jewish.
No. No.
No?
If anything, Shaggy.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
The Seth Rogen archetype
Yeah.
of Shaggy.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, my final question. What are 2 or 3 things people can do to be allies to Jewish community, and also 2 or 3 things people need to know about Judaism to be better informed human beings?
I think the biggest thing currently is understanding what anti-Semitism looks like, and that sometimes it is casual. Sometimes you don't realize that it is anti-Semitism because it's just a funny meme that's been passed around. And I think that, and this isn't just for allies, I think this is also for like Jews of a certain age who think they're internet literate but actually don't know what's going on. Recognizing what anti-Semitism is in an online world so that you can better equip yourself and others to recognize it, and so you can report it, block those people,
Yeah. And
avoid it.
I think this goes to the question I messaged you about but didn't add to the Google Doc, which is, all in all, has social media been a positive or a negative for Judaism?
If you had asked me this question 5 years ago, it'd be a different question.
Yeah.
Different answer. What would you have said
different
5
answer.
years ago?
5 years ago, I think it's a really great community builder. There's been a lot of amazing democratization of thought and Jewish learning, not just social media, but the internet, and like giving people access to that and giving remote Jews access to Jewish community. I think in the last 2 to 3 years, it used to be that you've had like sort of these outer circles on like being the sort of people rising up in social media, right? And so you had the social media Judaism that you had was kind of this countercultural thing, and that has changed because now everyone has a microphone and it's kind of, ironic to say as we are all sitting around microphones, but just everyone is now online and everyone thinks that their voice is worthwhile listening to. And so it's just become like all of the ideas and all of the more oppressive things about community that people sought to get away from or provide counter to is now the mainstream voice on social media, at least that I'm seeing. And then compound that with the sort of meteoric rise in anti-Semitism. That's my answer.
What can people do to be better informed humans? They could listen to this podcast, and if you want to be an excellent ally, you forward it on to 10 people.
Absolutely.
And you say,
And you
listen
leave us
to
good
this.
reviews. I was just going to say the other thing is just like asking questions.
Yeah.
And I think like people don't realize that Jews have this sort of basic cultural literacy in things like secular Christian culture and I like knowledge around Christmas and Easter and all of these things because we are living in a predominantly Christian society. But I think asking questions and trying to understand Jewish culture in the same way that Jewish people are kind of forced to understand other cultures is a big thing because sometimes people just think it's, it's Christianity without Christmas and they don't even know that they don't know to ask. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So just asking questions I think is always a great
Asking
step.
questions from a range of people too, because I've been in, I wouldn't say internet fights. I've had someone on Instagram who I work with try to explain anti-Semitism to me. They are not Jewish because they said, well, this is what my friend who is Jewish says.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there's actually, a variety of opinions. And so I think just having one go-to Jewish friend is also potentially not the way to go. All right, it's time for everyone's favourite segment. I think we didn't settle on a name, but we kind of did in the end.
Like shame in the shtetl.
Yeah, shame in the shtetl. So, Daisy, would you like the honour of reading this screenshot from a Jewish Facebook group in a city,
That
in
will
a
remain.
town,
In the world.
in
the
a
world.
country, in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On this planet, we assume.
Yes.
Okay. Has anyone seen my beloved GP, Dr. Jonathan Pinchauer, in the last 4 months? I used to see him and contact him, but no replies or appointments for this long stretch of time. Is he okay? Away? Working as normal and avoiding me? Lol. Just wondering if anyone knows.
I love that. I love this for so many reasons. Number one, it's like, does this Dr. Jonathan not have a receptionist? Right? I want to know how many people are ignoring this anonymous user. Is it like Dr. Jonathan's been like, do not answer their calls or just put them off? Or is it one of these old school doctors where it's just a room where it's a waiting room and then his office, and so he doesn't have a secretary or receptionist? I have so many follow-ups.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it.
Daisy, what do you think?
Do you know, I actually had a thing happen a few years ago where a doctor, a member of my family was saying, I don't want to identify people, but it was a child. The doctor actually died. And because you don't see this doctor that often, I rang up and said, could we have another appointment with this doctor? And they're like, no, he died like 2 months ago. And we didn't know. And so, my fear reading this was, oh my gosh, has maybe something's happened to this doctor.
Surely.
And do you get emails saying, and was the assumption, I don't know, I didn't.
Yeah, I want to know what the 11 comments are saying. I saw him yesterday. It's just a you thing.
So my fear would be either they hate me, they don't want to see me anymore, obviously, go to normal response. And second would be like, or maybe they died and you're trying to find out. And
I think judging by the intensity of this question, I think the receptionist has blocked this
That's really
person's
funny.
number. I think that's what I reckon.
I like that you can see their anxious mind at work.
Yeah.
Because it goes from, is he okay, right? Like, is he alive? Away on vacation, he doesn't like me.
Lol.
Like the lol throat peppered in there just to, yeah. It's great. It's a good time.
So are we shaming this person or do we think good on them?
I feel for them. I feel for them. I think ghosting is never okay. And
and medical ghosting.
and medical ghosting
Yeah,
could be
arguably
extra
worse.
hard because there's a lot of vulnerability there.
That's true.
But if you're really annoying, I kind of get it. You know what I mean?
But wouldn't it be better for the world if that person knew they were annoying?
But this kind of person never knows.
Needs to be
mean?
told.
Even then doesn't believe it.
All right. If you're listening to this podcast and you think you know who wrote this post,
Tell us if Dr. Jonathan's okay so we don't feel really bad
We're
about
worried
Yeah.
about him.
Yeah.
but also tell the person who wrote this post that they're annoying.
Yes. That's it for today's show.
You've been listening and watching To Ashamed to Admit with Shoshana Gottlieb Becker, Tammy Sussman, and me, Daisy Turnbull.
This episode was brought to you by the Jewish Independent, also known as
The Gindependent.
with Alleyway Productions. It's actually in black, so I think that's you.
The vocalist in our theme song is Sara Yael. More credits in the show notes.
If you enjoyed this episode, share it around and give it a positive review. And shout out to Ellie, who is a big fan and asked me to do a shout out.
But who's Ellie?
My partner's cousin.
Nice. Before we go, hey, a new thing we're going to do. We want to make sure you've discovered other podcast offerings from the Jewish Independent, also known as the Gindependent.
Tensions Transplanted with Rob Kaldor and Isabel Oderberg is a deep diver into how the Israel-Palestine conflict has not just changed the Middle East.
Now in its third season, Tensions Transplanted features interviews with political, social, and community experts who can provide insightful and accessible analysis of our changing society.
Download it now wherever you found this podcast.
Thanks so much, and join Tammy and Shoshana next week for their season 4 finale.
Hooray!
Hooray!